Good Sunday morning. Welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm your moderator, John Becker. We'll get to John North and the rest of the crew in just a minute. First, we're going to set the stage for our conversation this morning about an institution that shapes our community. 1 in every 5 people in the city of Knoxville happens to be a student at the University of Tennessee, and this graphic reveals why. Back in 2015, look at this number. Fewer than 30,000 students. Then what happens in the next decade and now 2027? We set a record, 41,000 students on campus. Here's some perspective from University System President Randy Boyd.
A university president I was just with a couple of weeks ago from the Big Ten was sharing with me that they're down 15% over the last 5 years. So that's more typical. Knoxville was up 15.5% in freshmen this past year. Overall, across the system, we were up 4.5%.
That gives you a sense of where we are and where we're going. With me, my colleague John North, and our guest this morning, Donde Plowman, the Chancellor of the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Great to have you back.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. And also our guest this morning, the panel. Susan Richardson Williams is a Republican, runs her own PR firm. Don Bosch is a Democrat, runs his own lawyer.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Runs my own lawyer. I need one
I'm
of those.
excited to have
Thank
the Chancellor here because there's so much to get to. Chancellor, just your perspective on that growth, because you offered some numbers on what people should be thinking about when we hear about UTK right now.
Right. We have a strategic enrollment plan that we're already just about maxed out on. We're really excited about it. But the growth, we have pursued a growth strategy really under the direction of Randy and the board, because we are the land grant, the flagship land grant university, and access to higher ed. We have a good product we're selling. And so not only are more Tennesseans coming to the university, but the whole country wants to come here. Like everywhere I go, some 17-year-old's parent comes up to me and says, I want my son to go there, I want my daughter to go there. So it's a good thing for the state because about 40% of those out-of-state students stay.
And we have talked to you in the past about the challenges with growth. You opened some new dorms, you're going to open even more. How much is too much?
I think we're right about where we want to be. This year we're going to be just under 42,000 total students, but we're growing in different ways than just more and more new freshmen. We're sort of at the steady state on the freshmen, but we want to have the best student experience in the country. I think we already do, but we're striving towards that. So what does that mean? You have to have great dorms. You have to have great places to live where students feel like they can learn and grow, and then the things that we're doing to make that first year so successful. We're really proud this year. Our retention rate is going to be over 93%.
And for our viewers who don't know, explain what that means.
Okay, sorry, that was inside baseball there a little bit. The percentage of freshmen who return as sophomores. And that's a really important marker because if that number's high, the 4-, 5-, and 6-year graduation rates will be high also.
And what is our 6-year graduation rate?
Our 6-year graduation rate, we're still working on that one. Our goal for 2030 is to get to 80%, and we're more like around 70.
And where was it 10 years ago?
You know, I don't really know.
Or when you started?
But I will say this, when I first came here, our retention rate was about 85%.
Okay.
And so now we're over 93%. That's in the category of schools that have stricter admission standards than we do. But we've done a lot of things to make that happen. We were very focused on students learning about their strengths. I've said that on this show before, and using them to their advantage, and just a lot of things that we're doing to make the experience rich.
Another quick framework question, and then we'll get to the specifics from the panel, but I'll often ask people their questions for you, and I received this question. Donde Plowman has presided over perhaps the most consequential period of growth in modern UT history. 7 years. The question isn't whether UT has momentum, it's what she intends to do with it and what the costs of that growth are. And that question is from our friend ChatGPT. That leads me into
I love ChatGPT, by the way.
Artificial intelligence.
Yes.
This is something that's going to shape our lives and already is.
Correct.
But for our viewers who aren't even familiar with it, how is it shaping higher education?
So first of all, I want to brag on UT Knoxville because we had the first undergraduate degree in AI. It's an applied AI degree. It's in this new college called the College of Emerging and Collaborative Studies that's really working close with industry. What do you need? need, what are the degree programs we ought to be offering, that kind of thing. We have a AI hub on campus to where you can pick UT-sponsored approaches to AI. And we're trying to train faculty in how to use it, and they're trying to learn to use it. And here's an example of how we can use it in a literature class. So maybe the professor says, rather than worry about, did you use AI to write this paper? Direct them to do it. Say, I want you to write the following paper using ChatGPT. I want you to use it with Grok, and then see what the differences are. How can you tell that something's been generated by AI? You can tell. And those are the kinds of things that when students get out, they need to know how to use it. They also need to be able to detect what's accurate and what isn't, because it can be very inaccurate.
Do you get any pushback or reluctance from staff? If I were on staff, I would be this way, so I'm just going to put myself in that company.
You still own your encyclopedias.
I do not. I do not. I
Britannica?
love Google.
Did you have Britannica or World Book?
I remember those when I was a kid, and also the World Encyclopedia. But what about folks of a generation that are like, don't bother me with that. I don't want to know about it. It either makes me concerned about honesty or it's going to make me lazy.
Yeah. Well, you know, I hear people respond to that like this. Well, when word processing first came out, people don't talk to me about it. Or when you think about, we all like Google.
Yes.
Google is sort of AI,
it is.
Right? So we need to figure out how to use it in ways that enrich our lives, that keep the human element in there, but to stick our heads in the sand and say we're not going to do anything. Our students won't get jobs if we do that. So if you talk to almost any law firm, they will ask me, are your law students learning to use AI? And so we need to be able to say yes.
You also have a new BA in Civic and Constitutional Thought.
Yes, we do.
We just had elections. This is through the Becker Center, right?
The Becker School.
Yeah, Becker School.
Yes.
So why did you all think we needed that?
Okay, so a few years back, Governor Lee gave us some recurring dollars to establish the Civics Institute, and it is housed inside the Howard Becker School of Public Policy. And we started offering courses in civics, in constitutional thought, in critical thought about democracies, and they're very popular classes. And so with the Becker School, the center becoming a school about 3 years ago, in addition to a public policy undergraduate, we thought this is an appropriate thing to go along with it. And students they love the classes, first of all. And we want people to recognize what Howard Becker, others like yourself, that public service is a noble cause. And we need good, honest, civil, respectful citizens engaging more.
You feel like there's balance? Because I think some of us, when we saw that come, were worried, coming from Governor Lee, coming from Republican legislative dollars that would be funding it, that it was going to be a little one-sided. Do you think there's real balance in that program between conservative and liberal progressive thought?
I don't think it's liberal or conservative to say, do you understand, the principles of democracy?
Sure.
And I think that's the approach we've taken.
But that's subject to interpretation. I mean,
right. Well, to study the Declaration of Independence,
of
what
course.
does it really mean? No, I do think there is, and I think that it has enriched the campus. And I'll tell you one of the things I'm really proud of that we don't talk about enough. Every other year, Gallup does a survey for us of all students, faculty, and staff, and it was really focused on the degree to which you feel like you have free speech and you can express yourselves on campus. And both times we've done it, the percentage of students who feel like I feel free to express myself is 93%. The national average is about 70%. Gallup will tell you. So we're doing something right. And if you look at the tails of that, like if you take the 7% who don't feel so much like they have freedom, it's split between those who self-identify as progressive and those who identify as conservative. I thought that was interesting.
We're going to take a quick break, build on that conversation topic as well, and we'll be back with more with Chancellor Donde Plowman right after this. Back on Inside Tennessee with Chancellor Donde Plowman. John?
Chancellor, I want to bring up a subject that's a little bit difficult, has
Okay.
been kind of a bumpy subject, and that's the termination of the faculty member, Tamar Sherinian. I don't want to talk about that specifically, Chancellor. I imagine you're going to say I can't talk about that. There is something that I did want to address, though, and that is we have heard directly from faculty and staff who feel like that episode and that dismissal has created a chilling effect in terms of being able to have free expression of thought. And there is concern that that may also impact the desirability of potential faculty and staff to come here. Could you address that, please?
Sure. So first of all, I think I encourage people to reframe what you see there. That it's not about freedom of expression of your political ideas or your religious ideas or any of that. But there are expectations about our conduct as employees in the University of Tennessee for all of us that I don't think academic freedom protects that. And so that is, I want faculty and staff to realize that they're role models for students. And so I think it came as a little bit, I know it came as a shock to some people, but I think I don't feel that on the campus. And I think we're moving forward in a positive way. It's complicated these days because of social media, but I don't think it's that complicated. It's like, what is respectful behavior? What's appropriate? I mean, I think I'm very active on social media. I'm very careful. And so I think if you're going to be out there on social media, you need to be smart and recognize that when you're an employee of the university, you represent the university all the time.
Chancellor, in fairness, you were not Chancellor in 2015 year.
No, I wasn't.
A well-known white male law professor, conservative pundit of national fame, Glenn Reynolds, a friend, posted in response to the Charlotte demonstrations and riots, people blocking the freeway, run them over.
Right.
That was not on your watch. I see a lot of parallels between the action you took and the inaction the past administration took. So my question to you is, would you have dismissed Glenn Reynolds for that statement? Because I find that as offensive or more, because that was a call for harmful action versus a despicable comment about someone who had just been murdered. It's bad both ways.
I'm not going to really say what I would have done as hypothetical and was before I was here. People have asked me that before, and I said I don't feel responsible for other people's actions. Here we are all these years later in a much different world where social media is rampant.
It was pretty big in 15.
Yeah, not like it is now, but yes, it was. So, I feel confident about what we did this past year. I want to move beyond it, and I think we are. And I think every chancellor or president has to make these calls. You have to make hard decisions, and I'm not going to judge the people who were here before.
So if that comment, let's frame it a different way. If that comment were made today by a white male conservative professor of any college, that based on a riot, and unfortunately we see too many of those in our culture, some for good causes, some not.
It's repugnant. Okay.
Would you consider dismissing that faculty member should that happen?
Like you can give me there's a whole set of things that I would look at and go, that would be disgusting if someone said that. So really, I'm just not going to get trapped there in that way, but you can look at what I did this year.
This is why 1 year Susan and I voted you the best politician in Knoxville.
Just for clarity, though, we have seen other universities across the country move to disband their faculties. Do you think that is anything?
Faculty Senate.
Faculty Senate.
Yeah, right.
Excuse me. Faculty
Got
Senate.
to have a few people teaching classes.
Yeah, exactly. Is that a possibility at the University of Tennessee, like we've seen in other parts of the country?
Usually that has happened in response to a new state law or legislative interests or concerns. I hope it doesn't happen here. I think we have a very respectful faculty senate. I engage with them actively. I meet with them monthly, not the whole body, but the leaders. And they can be a really important voice. And I want them to be. And I like the direction that group's going. What they want to do this year, I think, is really positive. They're trying to help faculty become leaders, and I think that's a great idea.
You got a lot of calls after she posted that, from politicians and big donors and that sort of thing. It had to have had an influence on y'all's decision. I mean, I know, I mean, having worked at the university and been on the board, we're open to those kind of things.
Right.
Did that have an impact? I mean, I see it on social media all the time.
So actually, no one called me.
Really?
And said, I saw what
What
I saw
people
what some said on
right.
social media.
Right.
I didn't get a call from a senator or a representative or anyone in the State House saying,
donor?
Donde, you need to do X. No,
No calls from donors?
I didn't.
Or your office?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I made that decision, but these days you look at what's going on in social media. I saw a lot of that. But that decision to me was about sort of setting a standard.
And you believe it was worth the $1.9 million we had to settle with her over?
I think we did what the board wanted to do. That was their decision.
That was the board's decision, not yours per se.
Correct.
Okay.
We got to take another quick break on Inside Tennessee. Back with more of Chancellor Plowman and also some of the other issues on lots of note cards around here. We're back with that right after this. Inside Tennessee this Sunday morning. Glad you're with us. Chancellor Donde Plowman in her role since 2019. Susan.
Well, let's talk about athletics.
Oh, good. I thought we'd never get around to that.
No, exactly. You and I have had several conversations
Yes.
about NIL and what's happened there.
Right.
And the Congress stepped into it, made a big
Yes.
difference about what we can and cannot do. The last time I had information from you, I think there were 2 bills that were pending in
Correct.
Congress. You all were supporting one of those. What's happened? Bring us up to date on that.
So the most recent, there's now one bill in the Senate that is authored by Senators Cruz and Cantwell, so it's bipartisan. There's some really good things in that bill. Like there's an attempt to, what we need very badly is some sort of federal preemption so we don't have 50 different state laws about what you can share with
And that's
students.
presented a bit of a
athletes.
challenge for Tennessee, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
it has. And so the bill has 2 specific items that I think are important, like trying to do something about the transfer portal.
Right.
And I think the bill says you could transfer once for money. After that, you'd sit out for a year. Or if there were some other extenuating circumstances. The second one was trying to do something about eligibility. Nobody thinks pro players ought to come back, and
Yeah,
nobody thinks that.
26-year-old pro,
Right.
touch on the pros, probably doesn't need to be
Yeah.
playing in college.
And the other thing, there were some other things it did that we like, the idea of a hard cap. It's not as hard as we would like, and some people would say, well, hard cap, you're never really going to get that because maybe that's not constitutional, some people would say. So there's some things got added to the bill. You know this better than I do, but the way legislation gets made, a bill goes out there and you like it at the beginning, and then everybody gets some say in it, and you look at it, I don't recognize it. Each of the 4 big conferences in the end supported it, although there's still some things we'd like to see get a little bit improved if we could. So we did come out in my conference, which I chair, as you know, we voted to support the bill. But it didn't get to the floor before the recess. So hopefully there's still going to be an opportunity for a full vote.
You do sense an energy, though, not just here but across the country, that change is needed.
Everyone thinks change is needed. It's just how are you going to get
do
there?
it?
Change in order,
What
I
is
think,
the
is a better
change?
word.
And what's the NCAA's role under this?
They're disappearing slowly,
Yeah,
aren't they,
they are.
Chancellor?
I tell you, I'm not. I've made my views pretty clear about the NCAA, and I don't think that they've changed a lot since I said what I did a few years ago. They've had a hard time trying to figure out how to lead in this environment, and so really no one's led. That's what it feels like.
On that note, a lot of people have said one of the gaps, so to speak, are the facts that there is no entity or call it a union for the athletes, no direct voice from the athletes.
Collective
is-
bargaining.
Right.
And that's a problem.
That
that they
is.
don't
And
have.
do you
They're
think
not
that,
at,
and you
at
think
the
that's
table.
important then?
I do.
Yeah.
And honestly, our athletic director he's been very clear, Danny, and actually I agree that ultimately they have to be at the table. And until they are, we'll just continue to break the law. Especially if we don't get we don't get this bill passed, that it will do a couple things for us. So I don't know where it's going. And now we have this College Sports Commission. I'm also on that. I'm spending way too much time on college athletics, like writ large, not our campus. And they were put in place to implement the House settlement.
Yes.
I'm getting all like in the weeds. But
I know Grant personally, so.
Okay. So it's a tough job right now when it just feels like chaos everywhere. So this bill would provide some lessening of the chaos, but not completely.
You mentioned Danny White, and you have sounded pretty consistently happy with him.
Yes.
And I appreciate that you acknowledge the importance of athletics as a part of the college experience. His latest contract, which I looked at, I think is good through 2030. He signed an extension 2 years ago. Are we due for another extension? Are you happy with him? Do you want to see?
I'm very happy with Danny.
Maybe by the end of the year we'll see some contractual development.
You guys are so good at the trap questions. Not going to answer. Danny is doing a great job. And I think he's very happy here. We're happy with him. The athletic director it's not the same as sort of the coaches. Like every year they want another year extension. So whenever we need to do whatever we need to do, Danny will do it. He's been fantastic. He's a breath of fresh air. He's trying to lead at a national level. He's trying to lead in the conference. And I think others do look to him, like among the athletic directors, as a leader. And I'm really proud of that. His main love is here. He wants to win every national championship in every sport.
I was just going to say it's incredibly competitive.
It's one of his top 5 strengths, actually, competition. Yeah.
Chancellor, we're going to have to let you run shortly, but if there's one thing you want viewers to think about as we head into the fall and the winter, what is it that's your guiding light right now?
So I want people to know the 3 things that distinguish us and that we're really working hard at. I've already talked about the undergraduate student experience. The second is that we are unique in our approach to research. We are trying to become a world-class public research university that does research that matters to Tennesseans. So we're giving priority to the issues that are important here, like nuclear. We happen to be really good in nuclear energy and engineering. In advanced manufacturing, in automobiles, in AI. We're actually following with Governor Lee, trying to put a stake in the ground, is leading that space. Healthcare, we need much more cancer research. So the difference between us and a lot of universities is we're prioritizing some areas of research according to what the state needs. We're the state's university. And I'm really proud of that. And the third thing we're trying to do is be the best athletic department in the country. That's kind of bold. Most university presidents are not going to put that in their strategic plan. I got it in there.
Chancellor, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you. Have a terrific start to the year, and we hope to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks, you all.
Thank you.
We're back with a quick talk around right after this. Quick talk around. Let's assess the Chancellor, their 7 years. John North and I were talking a little earlier. That's quite a long tenure for a college chancellor.
It is, and she acknowledged it as well, and so is the same for President Boyd. I would say we will look back at this period in UT's history and go, wow, do you remember that? That was amazing when it was just on this trajectory.
And to give ChatGPT some credit, it did it now. Susan, how about you? You've known the Chancellor for a number of years. Give us your sense of how she's doing and where she's going.
Every year I give her the Politician of the Year because she does such a great job with the students, with the community, with the faculty. I mean, honestly, UTK is where it is right now because of Donde Plowman.
15 seconds, Don.
Politician of the Year, we saw it here today. She managed her questions well, but the expansion of campus is spectacular. If you haven't been there in 5 years, you won't recognize the place.
A lot of cranes.
Susan, Don, we appreciate the time.
John.
Don, the lawyer. I won't live that one down.
The lawyer.
And we will see you next week on Inside Tennessee.